Hello everybody, it's me Julie again with another tutorial. This time we're going to make Stickman. Now I've never heard of Stickman until somebody on my little Facebook group said, can you make Stickman, or have you got a pattern for Stickman? And I thought, oh, Stickman. So she said that it was a character from a book. So I had a look, and it certainly is a character from a book by Julia Donaldson, who's the author of The Gruffalo. So if you're a mum and your kids are a big fan of the Stickman, here he is. This is Stickman, yay! Well, he will be when he's all done. Okay, now what I've done is I've used my 22 pin machine to knit the pieces. There is going to be a pattern that goes with this. Now I can't actually say this is actually Stickman because of copyright, so I'm going to call him Twigman instead, or Twig person or something, because Stickman is a stick. So now what you need is you need a 22 pin machine, okay, and then you need your I-cord maker. However you make I-cord, because we need I-cord with this too. You can't actually see that in the picture. I'll put it over there. There we go. I've got the camera on the wonk on the angle. Right, okay. So you're going to need a 22 pin machine, whether it's an Addy or a Centro or whatever it is you use, and your I-cord maker. If you don't have a machine, you can use just a manual I-cord maker, because you don't really need a lot. I've not got a lot here. This is just for his twigs. So I think there's probably about a metre there. There's probably about a metre of cord there. So now the yarn I've used is it's this. This is the yarn I've used. It's called Hayfield Bonus Double Knitting, which is a 3-weight. That's a light worsted. Now, the reason why I use this is because I just had it at hand and it was brown. But when I do make toys, I do usually like to make them in a 4-weight, which is an Aran. But because I had this at hand, I tried it. It's worked lovely. Okay, so that's the yarn that I've used. That was a 100-gram ball. So, and I'd already used some out of that. So I don't even think you use 50 grams for that. So I'm going to put that to one side. What else you'll need is a sewing needle, possibly a crochet hook, and some leaves. These are just leaves, artificial leaves that I've had for a while. So you can actually buy these. You can buy these like this from Amazon, Temu, AliExpress and the like. So we're just going to use these. Okay, you can knit them but by hand, but you know, because I had these at hand, we'll use these instead. So that's your leaves. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to tell you what these parts are first of all, and the row counts for the parts. There is a pattern to go with this, which will explain how many you do it and stuff. So now this is the main part of the body. Okay, now this is the main part of the body, and this has been knitted on a 22 pin machine, and this is 70 rows, whatever you want, 70. Okay, that's 70. Okay. So then the next bit we need to do is the top of the head. Now this is just, you can see, this is just a circle, and it's going to go on there like that eventually. So we just needed to knit a little circle. Okay, now I can't remember how many. I'm just going to have to check my little book. There we go. Right, okay. So this is the top of the head, and this is 15 on the 22 pin machine. 15 rows. and you cinch the ends, and thread one yarn end through to the other and tie it off. That's the disc. Okay. Now we've got the limbs. We've got 4 limbs, and they're all the same length. So these are the limbs. We've got the arms over here and the legs over here. So these are, again, 22 pin machine, but you know that. 25 rows, whatever you want to call them. 25 for the arms and the legs. And these are the feet, which are going to go on the end of the legs like that. And these, again, are on the 22, 8 rounds. Okay, these are all cast off with the needle method. No waste yarn needed. You can waste yarn if you like to do it that way, then by all means please do so. But I've just done it this way because this is how I like to do it. Okay, so what we're going to start doing, obviously, and you need your eye cord for your twigs for his fingers. So we're going to start with the body. So I'm just going to move everything over there, out of the way. Okay, we'll just move things over there. And we're going to start with the body. Now what we're going to do is we're not going to cinch the ends yet. What we're going to do is we're just going to turn the work inside itself, so we're sort of doubling it up. And I'm sure everybody knows how to do that now. So we're just doubling it up. You know, if you do happen to pull the ends and it cinches, it doesn't matter because we can just sort of stretch it back out again. Okay. So we've got our ends there. So this is our body. So what we're going to do now is we're going to slightly cinch, okay, because we're going to put our disc onto there to make the top of the head. So we're going to slightly cinch that up so that it's not sort of like flared. Okay, we're just going to cinch it till it's sort of straightish. Okay, it's a bit fiddly with 2 pieces because you have to get them. I just like to put my fingers in, and then when it crunches my fingers, that's okay. Right. So now with the yarn ends, we're going to sew this to the body, top of the head to the body. So I'm just going to, with my scissors, wherever I might have put them, I think they're inside my little book. Yeah, there we go. What a silly place to put them. I'm just going to snip that off there, and we can use those for sewing. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my 2 ends together there like that. Make sure that we've got enough room to sew that in there like that. Then I'm going to tie these 2 together so that keeps the opening and it doesn't close up when you pull your stitches when you're sewing. Okay. So then we'll put one of our yarn ends on your needle. There we go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to mattress stitch this to this. Okay, now if you know how to mattress stitch, I will show you. Okay, So now the trick of this is, you see your unfinished ends here. Now when you mattress stitch, we'll stitch underneath the unfinished ends, and then when you pull it up, that will roll underneath. Well, that's the plan. We'll see what happens. So, but right. So I'm just going to do that there. I'll just start that off. I'll just put it like that. You don't have to worry too much about the inside. It's just the outside bit that we need to sew. So that's the piece that we're going to sew. So I'm going to, that's already attached to the body part. So I'm going to go into those 2 stitches there, and then I'm going to go underneath here into those 2 stitches there gently, and then we go along to those 2 stitches, and then those 2 there, and we just go along. If you pull it up as you go along, okay, that will close up your end there, and then you can just carry on around your headpiece here. Just carry on all the way around, pulling it up gently as you go. So there we have our top of the head sewn into the body there, and what we can do is we just finish that off. I'm going to tie those together, do 2 knots just to be on the safe side. Then I'm going to hide inside. There we go. I'm going to hide that inside there. Snip that off. It doesn't matter what it looks like inside because we're going to stuff in there. So I'm just going to hide this one. I'm sure you'll bear with me. I've never done this before, so we're just going to see what it's going to look like when it's finished. Okay, so I'm just going to give that a little bit of a squidge around. So that's the top of the head there. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I've got some polyester stuffing, and I'm just going to stuff inside. Okay, just going to, don't push up at the top too much because that'll dome out and we need it to be flat. We don't really need a lot of stuffing. I think that will be enough stuffing, so it's okay. Now that's that part finished. Okay, now we're going to move on to the limbs. Now these are all done the same, okay, there's 4 and these will all be done the same. So I'm just going to show you this one and then we can just whiz through the others. So as you can see, these ends are not cinched either. Okay, so we've just got our 25 row pieces here and they're not cinched either. They need to be sort of equalish at both ends. So now we're going to thread the needle. Okay, there we go, thread the needle. I'm just going to put a little stitch in there so that it doesn't pull up too tightly when I'm sewing. Okay, you do that at both ends if you wish, but there's no need for that at the moment. Right then, so now what we're going to do is we're going to roll this because we need this to be like a tube, but the I-cord isn't wide enough for the arms. So we're going to roll this 20 piece, 22 piece into a tube. So we just carefully roll it up like that. Okay, you can put stitch markers or clips to hold it. Okay, so that's what we need it to look like. We just need it to be like a thin tube. So then we're going to oh dear, my little dog's got a cough. Poor old Lex. Okay, so we're rolling again. So I'm just rolling it up, not too tight. And then what we're going to do is we're going to mattress stitch it all the way along. So I'm just going to start, I'm going to start here with this stitch here. This is the edge. So I'm going to mattress stitch into that, and I'm going to also mattress stitch into this one here, which goes around there like that. It starts here, and because we've rolled it, it goes around like that. So when you pull the mattress stitch up, it should be a tube. So I'm going to start here. There we go. And I'm just going to make sure that that goes over the top there like that. And then we can start our stitching. So with a mattress stitch, you pick up the 2 loops on one side, and then you move to the other side and you pick up those 2 loops that side like that, and then you just backwards and forwards going in the hole you came out of, picking up those 2 loops and going back to this side, picking up those 2, whoops, picking up those 2 loops that side, and then back to this side, picking up those 2, and all the way down. You're just going all the way down. Make sure you're staying in the same vertical line of stitches when you go. Otherwise you're going to have a wonky seam and a wonky leg or arm, whatever it is. Okay. So when your yarn starts to get a bit short, just give it a tug and bring your stitches up, which I'll show you in a moment. Oops. There we go. So when your yarn gets a bit short, just give it a little tug, and that will, and then you've got a long bit again, and then you can carry on from where you left off. So that's my stitch there over that side, and then we come back over to this side, making sure that it's in the same vertical line of stitches, and away you go again. If this comes unravelled like that, don't worry so much, because once you start, it will roll. When you pull the stitches in, it will roll up by itself. That's the beauty of mattress stitch. Now I'm just trying to find, there we go. So you go in the same holes that you came out of, and then pick up your 2 rings, your 2 stitches there, and back again. See, I've just pushed that in there to hold in there so I can finish off these last few stitches. I find it difficult to use clips and stitch holders. I just have to do it this way. There we go. And now we're near the top. And that's the top. And now we're just going to pull that back up, so that we've got, there we go. And that's good. If you pull that, that will curl, as you can see. That's going to go. We don't want that. So what we just do is if we think we pulled it too tight, we just pull it. Okay, and there we've got our limb. Okay, now these are the ends that are not cinched. Okay, so you can see this end here is more tidier than this end. Okay, but that doesn't matter, because we're going to either put the foot on there, or we're going to sew that to the arm, to the body. So you're not going to see that anyway, because we're going to push it in. And yeah, so that's one of your lovely limbs there. So then what we're going to do is we've got 2 here, so I'm just going to snip them down a little bit. And put them, I'm to be a flash by trying to put them both through at the same time. And it never works. Oh, that one did. Right, so what we're going to do is we're just going to tie those off like that. There we go. Oops, tie them off and hide down your work. Snip off your ends. There we've got our first limb. So that's our first limb. So I'm just going to do the other three and we'll be back shortly. Okay, now what we're going to do now is make the feet. Okay, because these feet are going to go on the end of the legs. Okay, but not like that. I'll show you how to do these. Now, these are quite easy, the little feet. What you do is you've got your 8 rounds and you've just took it off your machine. Now what you need to do, you need to cinch the ends of these. Okay, so you've got sort of like a little mini sausagey shape there. Then we'll thread our needle. And we're going to mattress stitch. We're going to fold it in half like that. And we're going to mattress stitch that together, just up like that. So we're just going to go onto that side and then over to this side. 2 stitches, 2 stitches and 2 stitches all the way down. Won't take long because it's only 8 rows. So there we go. Just carefully mattress stitching as you go. That's come to the end now, and then we just poke that through the cinchy bit, pull it all up so that it all closes. Then we tie the 2 ends together once, twice, and there we've got our little foot. Okay, so we've got our feet, our legs, our arms, and our main body. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to, these ends, I have to chop off some ends because we don't need them all. So what now I'm going to do is I'm going to sew the feet to the bottom of the legs. Okay, that. So we've just got the little feet. So I'm just going to get my needle and hide one of these ends here. Oh God, I can't even see. There we go. Right, so I'm just going to poke that through there. So that's hidden one of those ends and snip that off. And then the other one I'm going to use to sew to the leg. Okay, now this one hasn't got any ends on it because I've cut them all off. The other ones have the ends on. So I'm just going to thread the needle. Oops, I always do that, split the yarn. What a div. Right. No, I've got to cut it now because I've split it. So there we go. Right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew. Now remembering this is the back, okay, because this is where your seam is. Just carefully sew on your foot with a mattress stitch onto the base of your leg at the ankle. You just go all the way around with a little mattress stitch, pulling it as you go so that it defines the ankle. There we go. See, that doesn't take very long now. There we go. So now he's got his foot. We'll tie that off at the back there and hide the yarn in the leg. Snip the yarn off. Now he's got his little leg with his foot. And then we'll do the other one. Okay. Just going to make sure these all these yarns are all tied off. So I'm just going to hide the yarns. You don't need any stuffing in these arms and legs because, or the feet, because they're rolled up. Just going to hide this one. And then we're going to use this long one here to sew it to the leg. There we go. So remember we've got the seam at the back, so we'll just put, there we go, and now we're going to just mattress stitch the foot on like we did before. Making sure you pull it up to define the ankle. That's nearly done there. Just finish off the back of the foot. There we go. Pulling it up, and now we're going to just tie it off and hide your yarn. There we go. And there are your legs with the feet attached. There we go. There's your little stick man, twig man legs. Okay, everybody, we've done the legs and now we're going to work on the arms. You can see I've already done one there. I've just used some of the eye cord to make a couple of twigs for his hands. Okay, there. So I'm going to put that there with the legs over there, and we're going to just do that now. So we've got the arm there, and I've got three pieces of eye cord here that I'm going to use. So this one I'm going to keep to use for his nose, because his nose is a piece of twig as well. So that's something I'm going to keep for his nose. And these two we're going to put on the hands, on for his hand. Okay, now I'm going to use, I've already finished the ends off of this here, the cord, and as you can see I've cut it to a length that's going to help me to make his fingers. So what we have to do now is, the end that I've already finished off is the end I'm going to sew to the hand. So I've just been following a picture of this little character on my phone, which is over here. I've just been following a little picture, this little picture here. This is one I've been following. So I'm just going to check on his fingers. So he's got like a thumb that's down there, like that, and a finger that's at the top, like this one. So I'm going to sort of do it similar to this, and then we can sew it all together. So I'm just going to, remembering that your seam is at the back, so I'm just going to sew that down there. It's very difficult to mattress stitch cord, so I'm just going to put a couple of I'm going to over sew the twigs on. I'm just going to over sew, and I don't suppose it matters where you put them on, because it's a twig. So I'm sewing his little twig fingers on. Okay, there we go. And another one there will be fine, and that'll be the last one. And then I'm just going to close it off and hide the yarn. Oops, there we go. Right, so now we've got that one there. I'm going to do this one now. Okay, I'm going to put that one up here so that it's like a finger, like a pointy finger, or whatever. I suppose you could please yourself where you put these ones. So, I mean, that's like the thumb part. So I'm going to put this one up here so that it's like the finger part. So I'm just going to do that up here, like that, on that side, like that. And then I'm just going to over sew that on as well. There we go. You know, after all this is going to turn out rubbish. How much do you want to bet? Well, maybe not. We shall see. Because I have no idea how this is going to turn out. Now, I've got this image in my head of how I want it to look. And I'm trying to get it from my brain to my fingers and onto these machines. So, right, okay, so that's that one sewn up and hidden and everything. Right. So now we're just gonna close off these cords here, and we can make them as long or as short as you like. I'm just going to bring them down. Obviously these are quite long, so I'm just going to do this one here. I'm just going to pull out all the little bits there, and then we can bring it down. There we go. I'll sort of bring that down by half. Then I'm just going to thread my needle through these holes here to finish it off. Oops, there we go. We put our needle through the holes, the loops on the cord. And I'm just going to snip that off because it's a bit long. Thread the needle and finish off the cord. There we go. So just pull it through and then loop that over, and then we poke the needle down the cord and hide the end. Anyone who's got one of these I-cord machines should know how to do that. Okay, so that's his fingery one, and his thumb one. I'm going to do that now. Okay. Oops. We'll bring the thumb down a little bit shorter. There we go. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to finish it off. There we go. All around there. And then the yarn goes through the needle eventually. And we finish that off. Whoops. And tie it off. Oops. Hide the yarn. And that's his other hand done. Once we've finished this off, I can't get it in. There we go. That's his other hand finished off. Looks like a cactus, doesn't it? But anyway, so they're very similar. So now we've got his hands finished, I'm going to get rid of all these little bits and bring his nose piece over. Now this is his nose piece. So I'm just going to close this end off here. I'll cut this extra long because I didn't know how long to do his nose. I'm going to have a look at the picture again. So I'm just closing one end of this tube because this is going to be the tip of the nose. There we go. That's it. I'm just going to bring that down because we'll use the cord from the other end, the yarn from the other end. Oops, there we go. Right, so this is the nose piece. So I'm just going to pull the little fluffy bits out of this end, finish this end as well. Get the body over. And his nose is going to sort of go there. So, I mean, that's much too long. So we could sort of bring that down by about half. There we go. I think that should be fine. His long nose. So I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna cut that off. If it looks too long, we can always take it back off and make it smaller. It is not a problem. No problemo. So here we go, finishing it off again. There we go. I can see, I have to bring it up high so I can see it. There we go. Okay, that's number 3. Oh, we've got one. There we go. 3 and 4. Put that one through there. Eventually, there we go. Right, now I'm going to use this to sew on the nose. So I'm just going to try and see which is the best for the front. I think here. I think this is the best for the front. So I'm just going to use this cord that's on the end and just going to sew the nose on there. Just going to be carefully around, so making sure that it sticks up. If you wanted to put a little bit of wire in it, I suppose you could do that. I think this is going to stick up without the wire. Oh, my phone's ringing. Probably a cold caller. There we go. Nose is sticking up. Yay! Sticky nose. Sticky man. There we go. Just going to keep going round so that it doesn't come off. There we go. Stick nose. Now I'm going to go back through there, take it underneath the nose and fasten it off, or eventually, when it doesn't fall off the needle. Yeah. Poke that through there. There we go. And we got his sticky up nose. Now for these eyes, I've got these little googly eyes here. I'm not sure how wide these are. I will measure them. I think they're probably about 10 millimetres, these. So you can get bigger ones and smaller ones, and I actually got quite a few sizes, but these are the smallest. These are, yeah, these are 9 millimetres. So I'm just going to glue his eyes on just there above his nose. There we go. There's this glue. Oops. There we go. There we go. Messy glue. Right, so we're going to have one there. That side of his nose, and more messy glue for the other side. And then we put the lid on. There we go. Right. Ooh. There we go. Look, he's getting his little face, and we just embroider a mouth underneath there. I'll just have to go and get some darker yarn, which is just that way. That way. Let's go for the yarn. Come on, yarn, where are you? Here we go. There's a lovely, nice dark piece of dark grey. And we'll do him a nice little mouth. There we go. When I actually get this done, there we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here on the side, and I'm just going to take that up just underneath the mouth, the nose. Good grief. There we go. Pull that through there and leave this hanging out the side here. And then we're just going to do a little V shape for his mouth. Oops. And then I'm going to take it back out where it came in. And there he's got his mouth. Then I'm just going to cut that off there. I'm going to tie this together like that. Not too tight because we don't want to pull the mouth out. And then I'm just going to take the stuffing out and pull it through. Take the stuffing out, pull that through there. Okay, pull the ends through eventually will pull the ends through. It would have been easier to use the needle. Yeah, I think it's easier to use the needle, so we'll put the stuffing back in again. There we go. And I'll use the needle to pull those through. So just poke the needle in there, through the hole of the needle. One, and that you can just push that in there. Maybe you can. A lot of faffing about. There we go. And just cut that one off. Right, so now we've got his face. Just going to restuff this because I've messed it all up now. So there we've got our little face for our little stick man. Now we're just going to put his feet on and his arms on and his leaves on, and then he will be done. So what I'm going to do now is get some yarn, brown, thread the needle, tie a knot in the end. There we go, we tie a knot in the end. There we go. Now coming from the inside, what I'm going to do, right, that's the middle. Okay, I mean, I know he's upside down, but he should be upside down because that's how we're going to do the legs. What we're going to do, the legs, is where his nose is in the middle. We're going to come down here to the end, and from the inside I'm going to put my yarn in, and then the knot will go inside. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just define these legs by over sewing here. Just have to make sure that that's might come over there. You have to make sure that it's equal. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just give that a little tug like that so that we've got our leg holes. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to put our legs in the holes and sew them on. So I'm just going to put that leg in that hole, and then I'm going to mattress stitch all around to put the leg on. Oops, put my glasses on as well. So I'm just going to mattress stitch the leg into the hole. There we go. Carefully does it. Make sure that you've got the foot pointing forwards, because many a time have I sewn on feet and legs backwards. Gently pull it up as you go round. coming round to the front now. Is he looking like Stickman yet? Just move them scissors out the way. There we go. Yeah. Let's see, that ragged edge there is going to be hidden inside the leg hole. So we don't really have to worry so much about singeing that because it's going to be hidden inside the hole. Pull it up. There we go. That's one leg. So I'm just going to give that a tie off and then we'll go over to the next leg. There we go. So we'll just go over there to the next leg. Make sure we've got the foot at the front. And off we go with the next leg. Now, my famous saying, I'm on my last leg. I always say that when I'm sewing legs on my toys. I'm on my last leg. My last legs. Legs. Make sure to pull it up and define the legs. You obviously, if you want to make these legs longer, you can actually do that. If you think that they're too short, you can make them longer. Remember, these are 25 rows. If you wanted to do them a bit longer, you could probably get away with 30 rows. I mean, I don't know, I've never seen a Stickman before, but only in the pictures. So we'll hope this is going to be sort of like Stickman. Twig person, this is, not Stickman, because I can't call him that, so I have to call him Twig person. And there we go. And that's the legs. So now we're going to just fasten that off at the back. There we go. Oops. And hide it up the back. And snip it off. So there we go. Stick. Stick. This is funny. I love this. I absolutely love this. So what we're going to do, we're going to tie another knot in because we're going to put the arms on. Okay. Now when I do my arms, I always like to thread join my arms. Now when I thread join my arms, I put them at the side and then the toy can move its arms. So that's what I'm going to do with these arms. I'm going to thread join the arms. So now usually when I do these we need a long needle, but because we've only got a short toy we may not need the long needle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to join the arms just there, just below the face. Okay. If we need the long needle, I'll have to get the long needle, but I don't think we will. All right. So what I'm going to take the needle through here, like that. Then we're going to just measure the arm there, just underneath his mouth, and push it through to the other side. And we're going to pull that up, and the little knot should stop there. And there we go. And then we're going to bring the other arm and we're going to poke it through there. So that now goes onto the other side, like that. There we go. And these movie arms. So now I'm just going to go back and forth to secure the arms. I'm just going to hold it like that because it's a lot easier than laying it on the table. So I'm just going to go back and forth with this needle. It is easier with a longer needle, but I'm sure that we can manage. There we go. And then we're just pushing it through one side to the other. If you actually want to fix them, you just mattress stitch them on. I like this because it gives you the flexibility of moving the limbs, the arms. There we go. Now, I think that should do for now. Right, there we go. So I'm just going to go underneath there and tie that off underneath the arm. And hide the yarn. Ooh, I've lost my needle. Oh, there it is. Right. Okay, so now we are getting something that looks like this little twig person now. Yeah, now we can move their arm, his arm. And now what we can do is we can use the leaves. Just let me check the picture because I still don't know where the leaves are as well. So he's got a couple of leaves on his left elbow and on his right head. So what I'm going to do is cut this leaf down here like that. So we've got those two leaves there. Then I'm going to, yeah, right, okay, what I'll do is I'll cut these off separately, these little ones here, cut them off like that. And then they're sort of like this. They sort of go like that on his elbow. So, and that one can go on his head. Let me just have a quick look. Yeah, that one can stick out of his head like that. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, terrific. Just let me trim that round there. Okay. Lovely. Right, so that's what we're going to do. Is just pull that out there. So I'm going to get a little bit of glue and then I'm just going to put glue on the end of that. Oh, I've put that the wrong way up. I'm trying to put the lid on the glue the wrong way up. Right. Then I'm just going to use my needle there to make a little hole in the side of his head there, so that I can just poke this Let me get some of that glue off because that looks like it's too much glue. There we go. So just poke it in there like that. And then what we can do with this arm, we can actually glue these little leaves to his elbow, one there and one there. I'll hold that on for a bit. There we go. You can use hot glue for this if you want, but it's very messy. There we go. Wow, look at that. Twig man, twig person. And there we go. I think that's it. Have I got to do anything else to twig person? Let's have a quick look at the picture. No, I don't think so. He's got his two fingers, he's got his long nose, he's got his things on his head, he's got his eyes, nose, feet. There we go. That's the picture. And here we go. Twig person. Hello, I'm twig person. I think that's come out quite good actually. I'm well pleased with that. I hope everybody else is going to like it. Well, thank you for watching my tutorial. The pattern will follow. Thank you for joining me. And I hope to see you again soon with my next tutorial. Bye for now. Bye.